Hello, TCG and Lorcana enthusiasts, and welcome back to yet another Lorcana deck profile. So the deck we're discussing today is, again, another deck I took to Mario's Luxury Lorcana Locals. So this deck here is Emerald Steel. This is the first version of Emerald Steel that I really saw floating around. I really wanted to try, and after trying it, I think I have a lot of changes of kind of what I want the deck to move into, and we'll discuss those changes of kind of the cards I want this to put in this deck and kind of how I want to shift this deck after we do the deck profile. Now, I didn't do really great with this deck. I made a Sapphire Amber, which basically just spun all my stuff back with a lot of the Sapphire cards. I will have the gameplay footage of this deck against the Amber Sapphire deck on Friday, so tune in for that. I did get on Mario's stream with this deck against that Amber Sapphire deck. So yeah, struggled with that, and then I struggled against Amethyst Ruby. Ruby just being able to board wipe me at all times, and then just deal with my boards. And unless I set up fast and quick to deal with him, I just can't set up. So he just wipes my board, or deals big damage, or freezes my guys with like Big Elsa and all that. So yeah. Overall, this deck I think did pretty well. It took both my opponents to game 3s. So they had to win by game 3s. Game 2, I always won by just spilling out more guys than my opponent had. Then my opponent was able to counter, and I just built up my lore too quick. But overall, it was a fun deck. But like I said, I think I want to change a lot of things because I think I want to change how this deck interacts. So let's go card by card. We have, of course, the Duke of Wellington. We have Simba. Simba is a on play. You can draw a card, and then you must discard a card. Flynn Rider is really nice for a 2-drop. This deck really plays a lot of 2 to 3 lore guys. So I would say this really isn't like a control variant of Emerald Steel. This is more like an aggro. Because all you're doing is you're going to spill out guys with lots of lore and just quest for lots of lore. Just overpower your opponent with lore. So anyways, Flynn Rider, when he is banished by a challenge, your opponent has to discard a card. We got the Cheshire Cats, basically because, you know, the Emerald cards we're playing are all the Emerald cards that your opponent doesn't really want to be dealing with because of the nature they are. Cheshire Cat, when he is banished in a challenge, you banish the character that challenged him. We have Kristoff. For Kristoff, we have 4 Tinkerbell. You can tap her to draw a card, and you have to discard a card, but she's just here to go in to shift into Big Tank. We have 4 of Hans, and then of course we have 4 of this Hans. So this Hans is the one that when he quests, he deals 1 damage to anything on the board. This Hans is just quest for 3. We got Tinkerbell. She gives something evasive, so if you happen to have your opponent have something down the field that was evasive, and you wanted to get rid of it, she can give evasive to something, so you can go swing at it. She also has evasive herself. We got Cusco with Ward, meaning your opponent can't target it. And trust me, it came up a little bit in the Sapphire Ruby match because of Sapphire's ability to like let it go, and it does come up with like other cards that could target it to like Hades, the 7-drop Hades from Sapphire that can spin something back into your opponent's ink. So yeah. It's real nice, and also he does the same thing as Cheshire Cat. If he's banished, he'll banish the character that banished him. Got the Mad Hatter. When it's challenged, you just get to draw a card. Genie. This Genie is a 6-cost Genie. When you play it down onto the field, it will then bounce something back to your opponent's hand. It has evasive. We got Mother Gothel for her ability while she's exerted, your opponent cannot quest. I could really see possibility of future chapters being able to exert characters like Mother Gothel so that she could trigger her effect without questing. So you could play her down, activate an effect that then exerts her by some effect, much like how Stitch Rockstar can exert 1 or 2 cost drops to basically then let you draw a card. So I could see something coming up to more effectively utilize this skill. And then we have the big Tinkerbell. She could shift over 4 for anybody who has Tinkerbell. So we do have the Steel Tinkerbell and the Emerald Tinkerbell, and then she deals 1 damage to everything on the board when she's played or shifted. And then whenever she destroys something, banishes something in battle, she can deal 2 damage to something on the field. For songs, we have Mother Knows Best. It just spins back a guide. This actually is pretty relevant sometimes. I was able to spin back some stuff to keep myself safe but also make sure my opponent just doesn't win. And then a whole new world. I'm not 100% sold on the whole new world. What it is basically both players just discard their hands and then draw 7. It's real nice against an Amethyst deck that's just drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing, especially Amethyst Ruby, because if you know for a fact you could just pitch 5 cards out of their hand, if say they have Dragonfires or Be Prepared in their hands and you're just pitching them out and forcing them. Yeah, there is an Emerald Steel deck that I did see running around that plays Do It Again, which is an action that grabs back an action. This is an action card, by the way. Songs are action, so you can actually just cycle this. I think it's like a Magic Carpet Bomb. I might try that for a stream and a deck just because it is kind of gimmicky. Glass Cannon 100%, but being able to cycle back the Do It Again card allows you basically to constantly hand loop your opponent. So basically, you go whole new world, hand loop them for 7. You would definitely be singing with it for 1, and then you would trigger Do It Again to then bring it back, sing or play it for 5 again, cycling your opponent's hand once more. Do understand that it does cycle 7 cards out of your hand too, so you want to be cautious about that because you can deck yourself out with this. And then we had Forest Beast Mirror. This actually does come up a few times in my games where I did have this, where I was out of cards and I was able to tap 3 to draw another card. Basically, it just gives you another cycle. Either to place it as ink or anything like that. Now, I will say a lot of my hands, I did end up with non-inkable cards like Genies and multiple Cuscos all the time. Whole New Worlds. But a lot of times what you're doing is when you play out like Simba, you're going to pitch out a whole new world because you don't need 2 whole new worlds in your hand. This deck isn't about the hand loop ability of whole new world. So, that's the deck. Now, like I said, it's more of an aggro, quick lore building green Emerald Steel. And yeah, it works, but I think I would rather change this into more of an Emerald Control style deck. So, wiping out a lot of the more like higher guys that gain you a lot of lore. I feel like you need like another 2-drop in here because my only 2-drop is like Flynn Rider, so maybe even taking like Cruella de Vil into here, or the 2-drop steals, like maybe adding another 1-drop in the form of Captain Hook, or the Goons, or like even adding like Lilo to the deck for 2-drops. I wouldn't probably add Prince Eric, but yeah. I think I would want to play more of an Emerald Steel Control. And more or less to play Emerald Steel Control, it's more or less playing like Smash and Grab Your Swords, which I think would have come up a few times for me to like play that. Because what you can do is you can shift into Big Tank. If Tinkerbell already sat there for a turn, shift into Big Tank. Tinkerbell does 1 damage, and then Grab Your Sword, have Tinkerbell sing to then utilize Grab Your Sword and deal 2 damage. You have Fire the Cannons that do 2 damage. So, I mean, in my opinion, I think that's where this deck needs to go. This deck was fun. When it goes off at game 2 for each time I played it, it was quick. I was able to gather my lore before my opponent was even to do major setups, and it was great. But personally, I think this style deck needs to be more control-based. It needs to add all the control cards. The card I wanted to show you, because there is a control aspect right here. The 3-cost return an action card to your hand. That's how you do the loop with A Whole New World, which is very nice because the aspect is you're playing Amethyst. Amethyst likes to draw a lot of cards because that's the whole nature of their engine. So looping Whole New World will deck your opponent out faster, especially if they're playing Amethyst Ruby, because it just knocks out half of all their kill spell cards. But yeah, I mean, even the Beast is nice here to deal with stuff. I think I would have put like a Cruella de Vil in there just so I have another 2-drop. Again, like control cards like John Silver, Jasper would be very nice to put it in the deck just to give that more control aspect. Like I said, I feel like this needs to go into more of a control engine and then put in more of Steel's more ability to like knock stuff out, deal big damage, like Grab Your Swords, Smash. Grab Your Swords, Fire the Cannon, Smash. So overall, the deck did pretty well. If you're trying to get into like Emerald Steel and try out the combination, this is not a bad deck to try that combination out with. I'm just saying that in my personal opinion from playing the deck for 2 rounds, because my first round was actually a bye because the opponent apparently thought we were playing Pokemon. Not sure where he got Pokemon from, but okay. Anyways, yeah, I mean, prefer more of the more control aspect of Emerald. I think Emerald plays more in like control, and Steel plays more into that control. If you play the Emerald control style cards and play more of the Steel control, more of the Steel damage stuff all over your board, so you're wiping out your opponent's board a lot of the time, keeping them off all their guys, using like a whole new world to wipe out their hands, and then wipe away some of their big play cards and all of that. Yeah, it's not terrible. But overall, I just feel like this deck wasn't great. I saw it cycling around. I wanted to try it out. Mario's tournaments are completely free, so this allows me to try out these decks that I wanted to bring, of course, to you. But personally, if I was going to play Emerald Steel again, I would build it more for control. I build in the Emerald cards for their, how nasty they are, and a lot of the Emerald cards are gimmicky and are already at 2 lore to 3 lore already. And that's already annoying enough because you'll be building up pretty quick, but then you're playing the Steel engine to quickly, of course, deal with your opponent's board presence. Things that you don't want your opponent to have. Dealing up, of course, using Tinkerbell to deal 1 damage, then having her sing to grab your sword. And then Hans to just deal that one damage all over the place as well. The psychability of using Simba and Tinkerbell to get the cards you need. So yeah. Overall, it was not a bad deck. I just strongly prefer, if I was going to build another Emerald Steel deck, I'm probably going to go more into the control path. Playing more of, like I said, the damager cards and more or less keeping probably the same Emerald engine just because those are the most annoying Emerald cards, but probably maybe throwing in another 2-drop into the deck like Cruella de Vil, and probably picking out like Jasper and John Silver to force Reckless and to force my opponent can't quest for a turn. So playing a really dense control package of Emerald with more or less the Steel damage package. So yeah, that's what I would change for this deck for moving forward if I was going to play more Emerald Steel. So let me know down in the comments your thoughts on my first version of Emerald Steel, this more quick lore Emerald Steel deck. Your thoughts on it. What would you change? What would you add? What Emerald Steel decks are you interested in? Are you interested in, of course, a more control variant, a more aggro variant? Let me know down in the comments. Which colors do you think actually work better with Emerald? Is it Amber? Is it Amethyst? Is it Ruby? Is it Sapphire? Let me know down all in the comments. And again, if this video gets 10 likes, I will build you the variant of Emerald Steel that I think is more control based, and I will do a gameplay video for that. Again, 10 likes and I'll do a gameplay video and a deck profile video for it. But this video's got to get 10 likes, so you got to smash that like button. Let me know you want to see that video. As well, this coming Friday, I will also be releasing the gameplay footage off of Mario's stream. Of course, looking at how this deck compares to, of course, a mid-range Amber Sapphire deck that I played against. So we'll check that out. So make sure to check out that this Friday. Again, all my videos released at noon Eastern. So with that, make sure to like the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and make sure to ring the bell so you get notified when my videos go live for you. And we'll see you here next time on Mama Dragon's TCG.